Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eating Peace this week. My name is Grace Bell. I'm the author of Grace Notes and these Eating Peace videos, of course. And I wanted to share today a little more about fear. Fear, we come back to fear all the time. And the impact of fear, what it has on compulsive behavior. Sometimes I think the whole thing boils down to a sense of fear. So when I was young, I grew up, for 28 years actually, my parents owned a house. So much of my childhood, all into young adult years, was spent in this magnificent house that had actually 3 stories and long flights of stairs up from the ground level to the second floor. And from that floor all the way up into the highest floor was kind of like an attic. And me and 2 of my sisters all were up on that top 3rd floor, sharing a bathroom and just having the whole place to ourselves. And it was kind of attic-like, with peaked roofs like this and windows that stuck out like dormers. But when you went up the stairs from the 2nd level, really even the 1st level up to the 2nd floor, this long flight of stairs up, if somebody was following right behind you, perhaps we were ascending up into the bedrooms together, or somebody just happened to notice in the family coming up behind you, we would have a game that it seems like we would always break into, where the person who was behind the one in front, climbing up the stairs, might suddenly growl. And it meant, run for your life, because I'm going to slap you on the booty. And it was the most hilarious thing. I'm going to get you kind of a feel. Everyone knows what that's like when you're little children. Rah! And you're running up the stairs and suddenly, you might actually have a bunch of adrenaline race through and start skipping every 3rd step just to get to the top and make sure that your sister didn't grab you. Now, me being the oldest in the family of 4 girls, I was often the smart one to put together, being the last up the stairs so I could be the one to scare. Now that's a playful sense of joy, but even with a little bit of stimulation, kind of like going to an amusement park. We buy tickets to get scared in that particular way, going on a roller coaster or some kind of ride that spins you around in circles. There is something about the movement into a more serious fear. That's kind of exciting. You've got suspended the whole time that you are indeed safe, and maybe you can even put a stop to the game. I'm not sure that could quite be the case when I was a child with my sisters. Maybe there'd be a push to the limit of the edge of those boundaries about stopping the game, which might add to the adrenaline or the rush that was involved. There's something about a seriousness, a threat to whatever happens with fear when it moves beyond that place where you can kind of suspend. You trust at a very, very deep level that you're safe. You trust that this is just a game. You're actually even enjoying the ride. You think it's funny. You might break out into great laughter or feel your stomach, move up into your chest practically, and then get off the ride and think that was awesome because you made it through. Not everybody has the same level of interest in amusement park rides. Some people might want to just take the merry-go-round. But the idea is studying and being interested in fear. Often what's happening when we reach with compulsive behavior, that movement that's fast towards food. I must eat something. There's an urgency. I talk about emergency. I've probably said it in several other videos. But it's a sense of fear. There's like a heightened kind of level of, maybe even freak out. And sometimes we're not even sure what it's all about. Craving is overwhelming. Craving is so huge and trance-like. We feel like we're zombies. We begin to eat. And even if it doesn't have a huge sense of urgency, it's as if somebody stopped us and broke that pattern, we'd probably be frustrated. No, I want it. I want it. Give it to me. It's very, very interesting to watch that sense of fear erupt inside oneself in the experience of eating, in the flow and movement of life as it goes. People will have fear about all different pieces and parts of the eating process. Maybe when you get really hungry, you're scared of that. Maybe when you begin to get full, you're scared of that. Maybe when it's the end of a meal and you're clearly done and complete, satisfied and satiated, there's something scary about that. You know, the space between this meal and the next one. Anticipating hunger, worry, fear. Just simply notice the images that come to mind that feel scary, and let yourself have them be extremely exaggerated, because these move by so fast, right? That's why we feel like we're in a trance or some sort of compulsive movement. It's fascinating how the mind can make it almost unconscious what we might be afraid of. I noticed along the way, as I studied with this inquiry, watching, awareness of my own process, I noticed that there were sometimes things that I was scared of, things that had stimulated or triggered me that had nothing to do with food at all. Wow, I was feeling angry about an exchange I had with my boss at work, or anxious about a coworker, or somebody in my family, or had awakened that morning with an alarming dream that kind of stuck with me through the several hours ahead. Sometimes we don't even remember our dreams at night, and a few hours into the morning, we suddenly recall them. Something reminds us, wow, I had that dream last night. Not too sure I find that very pleasing. It doesn't matter if we know it isn't real. The most important thing is to capture that awareness of fear, something just moving through quickly, like a shadow passing by. Sometimes it's not so shadowy. Sometimes it's very strong. Maybe you've had intense traumatic experiences, maybe even all the way back to childhood. It's been years, and your logical mind knows you're perfectly safe now, but there's some kind of trauma or unresolved anxiety just about the potential for being threatened again in the future. These are really powerful and important. They don't have to be all settled down. You don't have to, be comfortable with everything that's ever occurred to you in your life. Just the awareness that you've been frightened, with a compassionate sense of touching into that awareness, being very compassionate and loving and kind with yourself. And as you all know, self-inquiry is awareness. Self-inquiry is wondering what's going on there, holding very still on that moment and seeing. And one of the only ways I can find to easily do that is through writing in a journal. You can even dictate into something if you need to, but to sit still, even if you just did it for 7 minutes, put a timer on and put it for 7 minutes and just write what you don't like about the moment that's happening, the most recent moment that you remember having some sort of uncomfortableness around food and eating. I'm just talking about the pace of food and eating, things coming and going in your life. This fuel that sustains us called food. And just notice any kind of little disruption there, or wondering, even though time passed and you moved on to the next thing, instead of forgetting all about it, oh good, I made it under the radar, it was a near miss, but it's okay, I notice how safe I am. Instead of jumping so quickly to your sense of safety, or trying to manage yourself feeling safe, or give yourself some positive affirmations that you are indeed safe, let's go ahead and look, oddly enough, at the fear. It was just for a moment. The sound of fear was there, the smell of fear. So we did wonderful work this morning in the very last morning for this particular round of the Eating Peace process. 5 months of people together looking very closely online and in these live inquiry sessions. And somebody was just noticing a meal getting put away on a group event where she was traveling, and all the food's getting put away. And she suddenly had the impulse to grab some of the pistachios that were in a dish. Oh yeah, I'll take a few of those. And she knew she wasn't hungry anymore, but she quick wanted to store them and pop them in her pocket, just in case for later. Even though they were well fed, there would be snacks, there would be other meals offered, and it was a very well catered and taken care of event. So what a wonderful little quick moment to notice. The impulse arose, seeing this food being put away, it's gone, there's no more chance to ever have this meal again, and to just watch with genuine care and attention what that moment is like, what the beliefs are that are arising in that moment. I'll never get to eat that again. I might be hungry later. It could be different depending on who you are and what the situation is for you. I'll miss out. Fear of missing out with that taste. I'll never get to eat that. To have this thought and awareness identified is a remarkable step. It is more big than any of us actually know. The awareness of seeing that allows you to take more of an observer position. I am watching that I was this person with my mind activated, and I was worried that I wouldn't have enough later, and I'll never get a chance to eat those again. That food. Oh, there's part of me that's watching all of that, so that I have just a little bit of movement away from being the person who is scared and has to take action. You sort of watch and see there's a wise observer in here, a compassionate observer. We talk a lot about the compassionate advisor in the eating peace process, that you have one, everyone does, and that voice within can look and say, they're there, you're okay. It's not bad that you just took those pistachios. That's what happened. But did you really need them? Do you notice how okay you are? What can you do to help yourself feel safe and comfortable? And notice the transitory nature of life, that food comes and goes, and hunger comes and goes, and so does fullness. And even our bodies are here only for a temporary period of time. Whatever our lifetime is, that's it. And that's the nature of living. So I can notice that I just have a survival, kind of physiological clenching against something being temporary, and just watch, because then as I see it, I can then begin to inquire. I can wonder, is that absolutely true? And notice probably how it isn't. Am I sure that I'm threatened? What would I do if I was the most kind, lovely, compassionate advisor? What if I was the most beautiful parent to myself, and I gathered things together that would help me feel comfortable and safe, but not overly cautious, still free. And then to allow over time, probably the things that you need to have yourself be safe will just begin to drop away, as there is no guaranteed safety at all. Certainly not for this body and this life to last forever. So studying your fear is so incredibly powerful. All right, let me know how it goes. Lots of love.